It'd only be right. It'd only be right.
After looking at it,
Yeah.
seeing what all went on, the mistakes,
Yeah.
a little disappointed that you came out of an open day and saw that much.
You know, a little bit, because I thought the guys were ready to play their best game. You look at the week, obviously the open week was more focused on getting healthy and just focusing on Clemson. Then we flipped the page to Syracuse, and man, the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday practice, you know, the way they handled the adversity, it was loud in here, it was deafening in here. You know, they handled the communication well. We tried to show them every twist, you know, known to mankind and prepare them for all the movements. So I anticipated that they were going to come out and play a little bit better. And, you know, just it's a challenging time for them right now. I think the guys, you know, probably are carrying too much pressure, putting too much pressure on themselves, especially on game day. And us as coaches, we just got to find a way to help them just, you know, cut it loose. You know, I think a lot of the guys are trying to play perfect, you know, because of just the state that they're in right now. They don't want to make a mistake, which forces them to make a mistake as opposed to playing free. So, you know, that's probably the only disappointing thing is they didn't cut it loose based off of what we saw leading into the game.
Tony, that being said, how can you guys, I assume the coaching staff is talking about ways to kind of maybe take some of that pressure off, not to be perfect. How do you go about doing that?
You know, just first our demeanor every single day, trying to lead by example, making sure that we're, you know, presenting an inside-out mentality, and then just challenging the guys to block out the noise. You know, I think this is a different year for everybody in college football with some of the outside distractions that have come in. Not saying or using that as an excuse, but you know, I think a lot of the young people are dealing with a lot more than they may have dealt with in the past, and trying to balance that and manage that. You're seeing a little bit of that, but you know, the good thing is the guys still continue to play hard. You know, they haven't splintered. You know, they're more unified as a team. They're aware of the issues. They understand, you know, the things we got to get correct. They don't want to go out and make mistakes. We gotta find a way to transfer what we're doing in practice to the game, and that's probably the biggest challenge that we have, because the last several weeks of practice we've had really good preparation, and between the time we break practice on Thursday and the time we kick it off on Saturday, we're just there's a little bit of a disconnect there that's resulting in just, you know, there's some good things. You know, guys are doing some really good things, but on offense it's all 11, you know, being on the same page, and that's where we're struggling. You know, we'll have all 11 for about 2-3 plays, and then we'll have one guy, you know, that has a critical mistake that sets the drive back, and then now you can't recover from those things.
When the coaches are feeling that pressure too and disappointed and trying to get things going, is it easier said than done for you guys to project fast and loose and happy?
You know, I think for us in the business, we understand everything that comes with it. The biggest challenge is just trying to find the buttons to push with the players. You know, I think the way the program is set up, especially for the staff, is we're very inside out. It starts with Coach Swinney, and you know, he's been positive and energetic like he always is. At the same time, he challenges us, demands, you know, us to do our job at the highest level. So it's just this unit here is just a different unit than we've had in years past. You know, not quite as many, you know, vocal leaders, whereas coaches, we got to step in and help, and you're starting to see like a DJ is becoming, like his play's improved. You know, DJ's, you know, each week has played better. You know, it's just the guys around him have not quite, you know, played consistent enough for us to collectively do what we're capable of. So, you know, biggest thing is just go back to work. You know, bring that energy every single day. Make sure that we're challenging these guys, but at the same time, you know, showing the potential and the positive. Because right now, everything that they're probably hearing from the outside is all negative. So we got to get them to cut that out and just, you know, stay inside out and focus on what they can control. And what they can control is how they perform.
Tony, how do you balance maybe wanting to take some shots and want to go downfield, but then like you set up well in second and 3, and then you try that, give up the protection and now the whole drive?
You know, each game you want to try and put the ball down the field. You know, make the defense respect it and back it up. And we knew they were going to play some coverage, and so there weren't going to be great shots down the field. And we took a couple, and obviously the one in the second drive there, you know, J. Ross catches that 9 out of 10 times. You know, and that's a big play. And I think when you have a big play there, then your confidence all the way around, you know, is boosted. But you got to continue to call the game, you know, and try to take the safest shots you can, put it down the field when you can, and you know, get some one-on-ones. We had some one-on-one balls down the field. There was another one to J. Ross on that 3rd and 16 when we overcame the snap that, you know, he makes that play, I believe, 9 times out of 10. It's just right now that one keeps showing up. And then we had another one there in a 2-minute drive to Ngata, where actually the quarterback probably should have checked it down to the tight end and took the 5 yards, got the first down man, but he put the ball exactly where it needed to be placed, and we don't make that play. So it's just a challenge of trying to help them. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you know, they got to help themselves just by going out and executing and making the plays.
From a pass protection standpoint, you feel like they're holding up well enough?
You know, if you go back to Boston College, I thought pass protection was really, really good, and I didn't think we were going to have as many problems because we've seen the odd structure, you know, multiple times this season. But it was just some one-on-one matchups, you know, and guys got to win their one-on-one matchups. And you know, anytime you play that odd structure, especially when they're blitzing and they're coming off the edge, they're going to put guys on the island. That's what everybody in college football is doing nowadays. They're just trying to get, you know, 5-on-5 and see can you win a matchup, and then maybe every once in a while twist and pick guys. And the 2 sacks that we gave up, you know, were just guys getting beat one-on-one and not winning their matchup. So got to continue to call it, but we got to help those guys from a technical standpoint. And again, one's a young guy, and then the other one was a guy that hadn't played in 2 weeks, you know, first game action. So not making excuses, but we got to evaluate the film and help those guys get better. But we're going to keep our confidence, man. We're going to keep, you know, chugging along. We're gonna put the ball in the air, you know, until we start making those plays. And then in the meantime, at the same time too, also have things that once we aren't in rhythm, I got to do a good job of trying to help us get in rhythm.
Is that a concern this week, especially considering the way Pat plays and how they
got to make plays? You got to make plays in the passing game in this. But I feel confident because DJ, right? So you look at DJ. DJ missed what? He missed the one deep ball. And then the one that he threw on the ground, his foot got stepped on by the running back, so he missed that one. So I think he missed 3 throws, you know, which is an improvement. And then he put some balls where like were unbelievable. So I think he's really starting to hone in. And then there's not going to be anything schematically that you're going to have to do like to get guys open in this particular deal. It's just going to be can they win one-on-one. With the way that they play, and over the years playing these guys, that's what it's come down to. You gotta try and run the football, but structurally, you know, if you got a 5-man box, they're gonna have 7 there really quick, right? If you have a 6-man box, they're gonna get 8. So you got to be creative running the ball and keep them honest. You know, use some RPOs to kind of offset your rush yardage. But at the end of the day, they're going to be up in your face on the outside, and you got to win one-on-one. So I think we can win the one-on-ones. We just got to finish the plays.
In regards to tempo, last year you could trust Trent, a third-year guy, been around for forever, to maybe check at the line. Now DJ's looking over to the sideline. You're coming down with a check. He's looking over. Ball's not being snapped until late in the play clock. Is there any way to
I think
speed it up now?
We can, but also too, I think part of it is when you have the noise, you had to communicate all the way down the line. You know, so that kind of slows you down. That takes a little bit of time from that standpoint. So I think, you know, once you get environments where you're not, you know, dealing with as many of the issues, you can play a little bit faster. But the biggest thing there is just make sure we have the proper communication up front, and we knew it was going to be loud, and you're going to have to communicate all the way down the line to slow thing down. And then also too, trying to take a little bit of pressure off of him, you know, by trying to get him in a better play call in certain situations.
Could you guys went under center a little bit more?
Yep.
What was that for the running game, communication? What do you want to accomplish?
You know, just to supplement the running game a little bit. You look at the backs and the style of backs that we have right now. You got Kobe and you had Maffa in that game. Both of those guys are downhill. You know, allows the line to just come firing off the ball. You know, gets the ball to the back a little bit deeper, see things a little bit better. So I thought that was a good little compliment to what we're doing. DJ's comfortable under center. So just giving us some other options, you know, going forward, you know, as we continue to kind of create what our identity is going to end up being with this offense.
Trotter had the one bad snap.
Yep.
But how do you play overall?
Play well.
And did that help him?
You know, play.
Center at all?
You know, I don't know if the under center as much because just haven't had as much time, you know, working at it. I mean, this is a guy, he hadn't played, I don't think he played many snaps all year. And then he finds out heck, we all found out at, what time was it, 10 o'clock? I think it was 10 o'clock on Saturday morning that Raber's down and he's in the protocol. And so like, hey, next man up. But he had an opportunity to work a little bit in practice under the noise. But, man, I thought he played really well. outside of the snap. Everybody's going to look at the snap, but when you go and you watch him in there moving around, directing traffic, you know, there's a couple of plays that obviously he could do a little bit better. But overall, man, I thought Trotter really took advantage of his opportunity and gave us a chance.
Still got that thing wrapped up pretty well.
You know, he's got some kind of, it's not like it was. He at one point he was, you know, fully enclosed with a club. Now he's just got like a little brace on it there. So for him to only have one, you know, off snap and no other issues up under center, you know, I'm proud of Trotter.
Tony, have you ever been this deep in a season and still not know exactly what your identity is offensively?
I can honestly say no, I haven't. It's challenging, you know, but at the same time too, there's an excitement to see how these guys are going to respond. I mean, and I can't wait until it just kind of just takes off. And I think everybody's believing that each week, you know, it's going to happen, and that's why they're practicing the way they're practicing. You know, I think that they understand the challenge this week. You know, that this would be a great week for everything to just kind of fall into place. You know, I think they're going to take ownership and excited to get them back over here and watch the tape with them, correct the mistakes, because everything's correctable. You know, it's not like it's guys just going all over the place. A lot of it is guys losing their one-on-one matchups. You know, you have a screen out. I think it was in the first drive we got a screen and Joe's a little bit confused, so he stops. You know, young guy. You know, he stops in the middle of the play, results in the TFL. Now you're behind the chains, so now you got to, you know, take a shot, go empty, try to get the ball down the field. So then you're definitely in a 5-man protection. They have the advantage. You know, you lose a one-on-one matchup, you give a sack. You know, and then other things is you get going, you have the snap or you have a penalty. You know, so it's all correctable things. I think that the guys understand what we're doing. Right, they have great comprehension. You know, the communication for the most part. I think we had one situation where we didn't communicate properly. That was on the 4th and 1. We didn't get the call on the left side, and because we didn't get the proper call on the left side made a call that resulted in something happening on the right side, and we turned some guys loose. So that was the only time that we just truly miscommunicated. Other than that, it was just, you know, guys just not, you know, getting their one-on-one matchups done.
Some of the former players. Wide receivers, they were tweeting Saturday night, Tony, please open the playbook, please. This isn't our playbook. Is the playbook maybe a little bit scaled down from what it was when they were here? And if so, is it just because of youth, because of DJ? You know why?
Right. Yeah, it's the same playbook, you know, for the most part. Obviously, each week the passing game is going to be different.
Sure.
You know, this Syracuse was different from the standpoint of they were going to play what we call their 4-rat coverage, where they start in 3 safeties, they drop down, you know, the middle guy, they play cover 4, right? They were going to give you the hitches, they were going to give you the short stuff, the corners were going to bail, all right? Or they were going to play cover 2, and so then have a spy player or a rat player in the middle of the field, so you got to go to the outside. So some of it was limited, and then we got them in some man situations, and we got some one-on-ones, but just in response to those guys, man, it's the same playbook, but you know, right now, you know, you can't throw everything on the table, you know what I'm saying, when you're trying to get and establish an identity and get these guys in a rhythm. So we knew we were going to have to run the ball, right, versus that structure with that 3-man structure. We knew we wanted to run the ball, and I thought from an effectiveness standpoint, right, we did run the ball. And then, you know, everyone talks about the rushing output, but there were a lot of RPOs, you know, so the first play of the game, you know, that's a called run RPO. If they're gonna play that overhang defender tight to the box and have 7, we're gonna throw the hitch and get 9 yards. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of been the extension of the run game. So it's the same playbook, you know. And as the guys really get going and we get our depth back, you know, then maybe we can open it up a little bit more. But the biggest thing is guys just got to make plays. You know, they complete those plays down the field. You know, I think it's a different ball game.
Following up on Davis's question, what do you want that identity to be?
You know, I want that identity to be, you know, a confident group, you know, guys that we throw the ball, you know, when we need to and when we want to, and the same thing, and we run the ball, and you know, we stretch you sideline to sideline, we put the ball down the field. If you're going to play back, then we can put together drives, and I know we had an extension with the fake punt, but you got 2 drives there that were like 13 plays, you know, and you've seen that these guys are capable of putting together drives, but we need to get the explosion back, you know, in our offense.
It seemed like going into the year that the staff was pretty confident in the offensive line and the receivers as well. Felt really good about that group. Has it been surprising at all to not win as many one-on-one matchups and anything you can point to?
You know, I think the biggest thing from the receiver perspective was you had everybody coming back, you know, and if you look at it now, the injury bug has hit again, you know, so we haven't quite had the depth. And so you got like a young guy like a Joe, he finds out on Tuesday, EJ's down, you know, Frank's limited, so then he has to move to the field and practice 2 days at a new spot, you know, where he's really been focusing in the boundary, you know, so that's a challenge there, and then you don't quite have the depth at receiver, and then you lose some quality depth on the offensive line, right? You're mixing and matching. I mean, I think we've had 3 different centers in 6 games. Like we didn't anticipate that we were going to have like the musical chairs, you know, that we've had. So definitely had a legitimate reason to have confidence coming in. It's just the situation has presented, you know, some challenges that we're working through, and you know, the guys are like I said, the guys really proud of the guys, you know, especially in this day and age with everything that's going on. I mean, these guys, they continue to fight, they continue to battle, right? They still have the will to win. They're finding ways to win. We're making it extremely hard, you know, but they're finding ways to win, and I believe that ultimately they're going to be rewarded, you know, for their diligence, and hopefully it's this week. That's what I'm believing. That's what everybody's believing, and that's how we're going to approach it. That's how we're going to practice. And if it is, then we're going to build on that momentum.
Tony, speaking of your depth,
Yep.
how close is Shipley to maybe seeing the field again? Are you game planning for him to come back sooner?
You know, I'm optimistic that we'll get him back in practice with us. You know, I don't know if that means he's going to be ready for the game, but I'm optimistic that this week we'll get him back, you know, working with us, because he's kind of been, you know, on the side with the training staff. I mean, with the medical staff.
Is EJ, is that a long-term issue?
I'm not sure. I heard the surgery went well. Everything was good. I'm not sure the actual timetable. I know once he gets back and gets with Danny, you know, he'll give us an update.
Going back to the first time somebody kicked a football.
Yeah.
The most popular guy is the backup quarterback when
That's
the
right.
offense is struggling.
That's right.
People that don't even know how to spell Tyson's name are screaming, just give him a series. What would
Yeah.
your answer be to that?
Yeah. I'd say DJ has played. He has done what we've asked him to do. You know, he's played better each week, right? So I think he's improving, and we wanted to get. You saw in the first drive we put Tyson in there. You know, we want to have a little bit of package, you know, for him. But then as the game goes on, you know, you get into that dogfight, and so DJ's doing well. He's playing well. You know, don't want to disrupt, you know, what he has going on. But obviously for us, Tyson is a guy that we believe can help us in certain situations, and his role will expand as we go forward.
Since that Western Michigan game, their defense has been pretty much lights out, only averaging 11 points a game. What's different? Do you see anything they did different, or they just got better?
I don't know. You're wearing that shirt right there. You know, so I don't know
Go
about
Steelers,
that. I don't, don't they share the same facility?
They do.
They do. I know. I'm just messing with you. And you're a true fan, because I saw you out here. What was that? Was that Sunday?
Yeah.
Sunday, you were out here with your Steelers gear on. So I'm just picking at you. Troy, what do you say? Try to laugh to keep from crying sometimes.
That's right.
But no, they're just their D-line, you know, is playing with a ton of confidence. They're very disruptive. They got a lot of depth, so I think they kind of settled in, you know, at the linebacker spot and who they want in there. And then, you know, there's been some plays that people haven't made, you know, against them that they've gotten away with. But the biggest thing is that D-line is disruptive. They're different than last year. Last year they had the 2 D-ends that were NFL guys, where now they got the 2 inside guys that are very disruptive. So we're gonna have to do a good job, you know, inside managing those guys, and they got depth too. So 8 and 10, you know, are their war daddies, but when they bring in their backups, there's not much of a drop off. So I think they're just playing with a ton of confidence. You know, they got an offense that they know can score, you know, a bunch of points, you know, so they can be aggressive, they can attack, and they're getting really good play, and they're creating a lot of pressure just with their 4-man front.
I know you touched on this before, but can you take us through the thinking on it, how it all came together with all the pieces involved?
So I didn't know it was getting ready to be called.
Okay.
So I just looked out there and I saw Davis go up and make that play. And I know Coach Swinney, you know, likes to have something, you know, in everything. Like he wants us to have a couple of trinket plays, you know, on offense. I'm sure they got some specialties on defense, and the same thing in special teams. He wants to have a specialty play. And Bill and Stopwatch do a great job managing the special teams, you know, and funneling it all through Mickey to the players. So that was good execution, great throw, right? Great throw, great catch, and it was big for us because we were able to extend that drive and then go on and score.
Spires going to get some snaps at quarterback?
Oh, see, we gotta get to Tyson first. we gotta get Tyson some reps before we get Spires in there.
Tony, I think you said there were some third and shorts where maybe Dabo wanted to run it.
No, it was the. I think somebody asked me on the 3rd and 6, the last 3rd and 6 before the field goal. You know, that was a situation where Coach was wanting to play more for the field goal, you know, than trying to go get. Because we went empty, you know, tried to go empty, spread them out, see could we find, you know, a hole in the defense, and they did a good job covering it. So EJ throws it away. Now it's 3rd and 6. Instead of putting the ball in jeopardy, let's go with a safe, you know, quarterback run. We're already in field goal range. Let's try and play for the field goal. So that was the one situation there. The third, I think it was 3rd and 6 there. Yep.
Tony, you mentioned the challenge of trying to figure out which buttons to push.
Yep.
At what point did you realize that this team might just be made up a little bit differently, as you said, might need a little more TLC?
No, probably. You know, Georgia. I thought the guys were ready to play. I mean, they were excited to play. I thought they played hard. Then South Carolina State. So probably, you know, the Georgia Tech game. You know, after that, just these guys are, and that was a challenging game too because the structure was completely different than what we prepared for, and they did a good job. And probably from that point on, you know, you just realize that, okay, you know, you get spoiled. You know, you get spoiled. I had Travis for 4 years, but I also remember, you know, the challenges of Travis as a sophomore. You know, it's a little bit different. You know, same thing. You know, Trevor has some challenges as a sophomore. You know, that sometimes now that he's gone and moved on, that people sometimes forget about. And so you just got to go back to meeting the young people where they are. I think all of us, you know, sometimes get caught up in the expectations that are put on us, which we shouldn't, but it's just human nature. You just hear it all the time, you know, and the more you hear things, the more you might start to believe those things. And so for all of us, it's just getting back to the basics, controlling what we can control, and understanding that this is a different group, and we got to meet these guys where they are, and they're in the midst of a big challenge because there's been, you know, just depth issues that have created inconsistency at positions. You know, guys playing all over the place on the offensive line. You got different lineups, and you're seeing different structures. You got some youth, you got some older guys, and then you lose a center, and you know, and then your receivers are up and down, and then you lose your running back that's really starting to come on, and your quarterback doesn't play great. Now he's getting better, and you know, things around him aren't quite as at the same level. So you just got to meet them where they're at. And love on them, but at the same time challenge them to do what it takes, because at the end of the day, it takes what it takes, right? We can't change that form. It takes what it takes, and I think they believe in that, and they just got to continue to work and transfer what they're doing here to the stadium.
Tony, when you see Pitt putting up 50 points a game almost, do you go into this thing thinking you've got to get it at least in the 20s to give yourself a realistic chance in this thing?
We just gotta score points. You know, I don't know if there's a number. You know, but we gotta consistently score points, and we gotta make plays. So putting a plan together is to just put the guys in a position, you know, to have an opportunity to score points, and we're gonna have to make some plays, some big plays. You know, that's how you beat this defense. You know, because they're structured to make you really work if you want to nickel and dime down the field. Right, it's going to be tough. You're going to have to, and what they give you is, because they're so aggressive, the way they're structured, what they give you is the big plays down the field. So we just got to, you know, protect well, and give our guys an opportunity. Quarterback's got to be accurate with his throws, and then guys are going to have to go make contested plays. And that's how it's been even in 16 when we played them. You know, we had to make some big contested plays down the field. I mean, when they beat us in 16, it was still a situation where it was competitive plays, and then we played them. Last year, I think the game got out of hand a little bit early. You know, they were down some linemen, you know, so it wasn't quite, you know, them at full speed, but we're playing at their place. They're going to be confident, both on offense and defense, and we need to be confident as well, and because we're capable. Now it's just it's performance, though. We got to stop talking about and living on potential, and we got to go perform.
When y'all do the check with me thing at the line, how often have you seen defenses start to audible to your audible and change their alignment?
You know, we'll go into the game for the most part, you know, trying to have an idea of how a defense is going to check, and if they're going to check a bunch, then and they're going to check out of what they're in, then we may not do that as much. So typically when we do that, it's maybe a specific play that you have to check, or we're trying to get them to check out of something that we see. So it's kind of a cat and mouse, but not everybody does it. You know, some people line up and play. Like if you watch Pitt, you'll see Pitt, they'll check, right? They'll have a blitz on, and then the offense will dummy, and then they'll come back out, they'll raise their hands, and they go back to their base. And Syracuse had some of that stuff too.
Tony, you mentioned earlier it's not an excuse, but that's just been a very different year, I guess, across the country against college football. I guess what are you referring to? Is it the pandemic in terms of?
I think you got a lot of issues, man. You're coming off a pandemic. You know, now you're going back to school. You're in class. You're trying to get back in that routine. Then you got the pressures of NIL. You know, you're dealing with all of that kind of stuff, and then now stadiums are full. You know, and so all the hype is coming back. So it's just a different time, you know, for these young people. And I think it's a situation for all of us that if we're not careful, right, we can start listening to outside noise, right, that can influence the way that you operate. And that's always the challenge when you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds is maintaining that inside out focus. And for us offensively, you know, it's just from a leadership standpoint, we don't have as many leaders, you know, as we've had in the past because we got so much youth.
We'll take one or two from Zoom.
Hey, Tony, David with ESPN. Two things I actually was hoping to ask you. One, well, you just mentioned NIL. I'm curious, do you think that that's actually had an impact on maybe how guys are approaching things, or either how they're dealing with success or failure? Like, what do you think the impact on the field has actually been, if anything?
You know, I don't know for a fact because I haven't had those conversations. I know that guys are working on that in their spare time. And it's like anything else, man. It's just an added, you know, potential distraction. And even if you manage it well, it takes time, you know. And so I'm not saying that that's what the issue is around college football. I'm just, you know, stating that, I mean, there's several top teams that are struggling, you know, that are playing teams and games are going down to the wire. And I think also too that, you know, defense, you know, has had a chance coming out of the pandemic. You know, defenses have had a chance to kind of get back together, get unified, and teams are playing better, you know, defensively than last year. So there's a lot of things, but I'm not going to say that NIL is the issue, but that's just added more opportunity for time to be taken away from their already hectic schedule.
The other thing, I'm doing a story on Georgia's Jordan Davis, number 99. I was wondering if you could kind of give me a little bit of what you saw from him on film before that game and how it compared to the actual performance he put on the field. And would you put him, you know, if you had a Heisman ballot, would he be somebody that you'd be considering for it right now?
You know, I haven't watched enough of them since playing them, but going into the game, I thought he was a, you know, very, very dynamic player. He's a unique player. You know, you don't come across, you know, guys that big, that strong, you know, and that fast. And he's going to command a double team. You can't block him one-on-one. Very, very disruptive. And then I mean, he proved that when we played him. So if you're talking about like a unique guy that potentially could be the best at his position, then he'd be worthy of playing on #1 team. He'd be worthy of the conversation. But I haven't seen enough of his videos since. But I would imagine with the success that they're having, that he's the anchor of what they're doing. And what I heard, you know, prior to was that, you know, he's an outstanding young man, great leader, kind of provides the leadership for all those guys in that program.